Venga, tráigala.
For Melissa, cooking a hot meal for her family has become a rare pleasure. She's 5 months pregnant, and the cravings are kicking in.
Pues que a veces me dan ganas de comer muchas cosas, pero a veces no hay dinero para comprarla.
It's a traditional Honduran meal, cooked on a stove made from the mud around them. It reminds her of just how far she is from home.
Mi mami hace unas baleadas tan ricas, pero yo nunca aprendí, nunca. No.
Melissa, her husband Armando, and their 9-year-old daughter, who asked us not to use their real names, say they've had no choice but to spend the last 3 months living in this squalid camp, a stone's throw from the United States.
Y bueno, estar durmiendo en el suelo es muy pésimo. La espalda me duele mucho. Y a veces me dan unos fríos y mi bebé se mueve mucho y mi panza luego está bien fría.
We've been on the ground for more than a year, charting the human toll of a changing immigration system. Tonight, we take you inside the asylum debate with a top Trump administration official, a whistleblower who quit in protest, and those fighting for thousands of people stuck at the border. In less than 1 year, a new immigration policy called Migrant Protection Protocols has pushed 60,000 asylum seekers to remain in Mexico, leaving them vulnerable, often in dangerous areas. This sprawling camp of 1,500, just one of several that have popped up along the southern border. Melissa was told that living here was endangering her pregnancy.
Tenía temor a que me diera una fuerte infección. Incluso tuve una infección muy fuerte que la doctora me dijo que podía perder a mi bebé.
She is one of 18 pregnant women named in a complaint filed by the ACLU against the Department of Homeland Security.
It's particularly dangerous for pregnant women.
Rochelle Garza is a lawyer with the ACLU.
Most of these women are living on the streets. They don't have access to adequate food, water, medical care.
Melissa says back in Honduras, her husband Armando was doing well as a waiter, but when he was beaten and targeted by gangs, they knew they had to run.
Lo quisieron asesinar, pero gracias a Dios no lo asesinaron. Pero sí le robaron su motocicleta y su teléfono celular y su dinero.
Your lives were threatened.
Sí.
They fled with just a little cash and 3 duffel bags. And when they arrived on the Texas border, they asked for asylum, which is their legal right. In the past, they would have been allowed to stay in the U.S. and wait for a hearing. Instead, U.S. immigration officials gave them a court date and sent them back to wait in Mexico.
Venimos con esto que nos cierran las puertas.
The biggest loophole drawing illegal aliens to our borders is the use of fraudulent or meritless asylum claims to gain entry into our great country.
Since taking office, the Trump administration has tried to slow the number of migrants coming into the U.S. with a series of controversial policies.
They're limiting artificially the number of people who can cross.
It's called metering and has spawned migrant camps in Tijuana, south of San Diego.
Last year, we saw the first impacts of that metering program here in Matamoros.
¿Por cuánto tiempo están aquí?
Aquí ya llevamos un mes.
Un mes, claro.
Embarazada.
¿Cuántos meses?
4.
With the latest policy change, that once small encampment has ballooned, now housing thousands spread out along the banks of the Rio Grande.
How long have you been here?
¿Cuánto tiempo lleva aquí, señora?
15 días.
How did she get here?
¿Cómo fue que llegó acá? ¿Cómo llegó hasta acá?
Bueno, primero nos entregamos a migración, de ahí nos tiraron para acá.
Here, the river becomes the only way for a mother to keep her kids clean. Pieces of wood and fabric, the only privacy for bathrooms. But for many, the dangers outside the camp haunt the most.
Tens of thousands have been sent back where they have no choice but to live in these makeshift camps. Many are subjected to kidnapping, assault, extortion, even death. What's happening here is nothing short of a man-made humanitarian crisis.
Melissa and her family know the dangers intimately. While crossing north through Mexico, they said they were held for ransom by a Mexican cartel for 10 days.
La verdad es que yo le tengo mucho miedo a México. Mucho miedo en México por eso.
She says her sister, who lives in Ohio, had to negotiate with the kidnappers and eventually wired thousands of dollars to secure their release.
Cuando nosotros venimos aquí decían que no podíamos salir ni siquiera de ese portón afuera porque nos iban a secuestrar y a las mujeres las iban a ir a vender a unas casas de citas y muchos miedos.
What precautions have you taken to try to keep your family safe?
Andar siempre con ellos, no despegarnos, siempre juntos.
The camps are overrun by the cartels. They traffic in humans. They're known as the kings of the river.
Ellos se creen dueños del río. No hay persona que se escape para no pagar.
Are you afraid that you might give birth here at the camp?
Sí, me preocupa mucho eso.
Just across the river, Brownsville native Rochelle has spent years practicing immigration law.
It is deterrence by cruelty. I never would have envisioned having to drive to a tent court to assist any client.
She's on her way to represent one of the pregnant asylum seekers, but her client has gone missing.
I interviewed her sometime in September, but then I haven't been able to locate her for at least the last couple of weeks.
Wish me luck.
Hoping her client appears, Rochelle heads inside to plead her case.
Behind all that concertina wire is a Trump administration experiment. Tent courthouses where judges video conference in from around the country. In the past, immigration hearings used to be open to the public.
But these facilities are often restricted, even to attorneys. Several hours later, Rochelle walks out.
My client wasn't there after all. You know, we made every attempt we could to find her, and I had hoped that maybe she would still be able to make it to this court hearing.
What was going on in your mind?
Frustration, anger, all of it. I mean, my hope is to see if we can locate her. I don't know if she's given birth. I don't know if she's dead, or if she's disappeared. I don't know anything about what happened to her.
The Trump administration touts the Remain in Mexico program as a success, citing the recent decline in unauthorized crossings. As acting deputy secretary at DHS, Ken Cuccinelli is responsible for U.S. asylum policy.
Could you give us the goal of the migrant protection program?
There's more than one goal. We'll start with the top one, is to quickly adjudicate a large number of claims at the border. That's one. Two is to not be releasing people into the interior of the United States so they remain in Mexico.
But you are sending pregnant women back to a country that your own State Department categorizes as a level 4 threat, that is a no-go zone for American travelers. So why is it?
That is just not correct. It
the
is not a
advisory
no-go
is that
zone
Americans should not travel
to certain parts of
to
that
Matamoros,
country.
which is precisely where you're sending these pregnant women. We spoke to a pregnant woman.
No, they can go anywhere in Mexico. And these are people who've traveled hundreds, if not thousands of miles to get to our border. They can go anywhere in Mexico with work permits.
But surely you understand that these people have no money, are fleeing for their lives, and have nowhere to go, and are desperate. They are fleeing persecution and documented cases of danger, credible threats to their lives, and you're placing them back in a place where they have nowhere to go.
You are presuming they're being placed in a point, and they're not. They're allowed to go anywhere in Mexico with work, with the right to work, which is something they don't get immediately in the United States until their claims are adjudicated.
After waiting for 3 months at that Matamoros camp, Melissa's family is ready for their court date. Rochelle, once again, waiting on the other side.
Best case scenario, they're paroled in and they're allowed to walk through those gates. You know, we can help them on their way. Worst case scenario would be for them to be returned to Mexico.
When we come back, will Melissa and her family be able to make it across? And we hear from a former asylum officer, now speaking out.
If the goal is to keep everyone who's not American or everyone who's not white out of the United States, then it's effective.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.